Hi, Peter.
Hi, Jeff.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Maybe you could just give us a little bit of background for what you're up to, what your interests are. Just not too long, just a little intro.
So I'm working at the Museum of Applied Arts and Sciences, also known as the Powerhouse Museum in Ultimo in Sydney, where I'm looking after the booked school programs, basically.
This really is just an interview to kind of go over some of the questions for the upcoming Museums Australia Conference.
Hmm.
And we've sent a couple out to you. And one that you've decided to have a go at is the audience has been empowered in recent years. Are we too obsessed with audience needs? Do you
Hmm.
think you could give us a few of your views on that one?
Hmm. So I probably think we're not too obsessed with audience needs. Um, I guess. Um, why do you have museums? Like have, if you're not delivering value to audiences, then I think it's quite hard to justify having museums. I don't think that I quite like the way George Hine talks about objects, and he says they have no meaning in and of themselves. It's only through interpretation. So
But
you've got
do
to
you think
have.
that, sorry, I was just wondering, do you think that some audiences have benefited in the past more from museums than others? I mean, it's that sort of egalitarian thing, isn't it? Like, who is your audience?
Who is the audience?
Yeah.
Well, we want the widest possible participation we can get to for the value in the collection to be expressed, and for it to have some kind of significance in life, I think. So to me, I mean, my primary focus at the moment is young people who are attending school. But in general, I think I'm a big fan of the Nina Simon participatory museum idea, um, where museums are places that people will choose to go and have social experiences that are enhanced by the context and the setting and the surrounding, which can include research and objects and fascinating things.
But do you find that, like with I know that we did some stuff around project-based learning a couple of years ago, and that seemed like a fantastic idea to kind of, but it's not just an audience, not that they just come in the doors, look at something and go out. As you're saying, this participatory sort of
Mm.
element's really crucial, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so I think a lot of people come to a museum. Well, I ask every time, is this the first time, whenever I meet people, is this the first time you've been here? And most people that I meet would say, no, I've been here before. This is people from Australia who live in Australia. And then I say, when was the last time that you came? And inevitably, it's a fairly long time ago. It might be that they came when they were young. It's different if they're parents and they've got young children. They might be members, or they might come more regularly. But for free and independent adults who are an important part of the world, our audience, it's usually they came. There's that kind of thing, is that you come on a school excursion, and then you come when you've got a child, then you come when you've got a grandchild, kind of thing. So unless you're a real museum person, your visits might not be part of your normal everyday kind of life. Um, in terms of school groups, I'm pretty critical of the quality of learning experience that most young people have on a school excursion. And I think inside my thoughts, that's part of why people aren't sort of drawn back en masse with their families in the weeks following that visit. So, I describe a lot of school excursion visits as like they just drive by. They just see the stuff at a distance and go tick, and then move on to something else and go tick, and then goes at lunchtime now. So I'm looking for, I don't think that's meeting the needs or exploiting the opportunity that museums represent, and that the museum I work in has potential for. So how do you provide someone with an experience that makes them feel something, and in that way have a sense of embodying some concept? Or how can, what I've been concerned with in a lot of my work, which has been in a digital media area, it's been more like, well, what does it feel like to make something? Everything in this museum, somebody has made it. So how do you feel when you make something? And having felt that, does that impact on the way that you then go and experience other things?
So the things that say for instance, that work you were doing with the Minecraft 3D sort of mapped things, that was pretty amazing. They kind of ended up not only making things, but making something that went into a display that other people could then participate with. So they were engaged in the whole process. So that was pretty. So could you just give us a little bit of a background on some of that?
Yeah, so I'm also happy to go back now or at a later time to the project-based learning stuff. But what you're referring to is we created a little app called ThinkSpace AR for augmented reality. And augmented reality presents an image in 3D on your smartphone, for example, on the screen of your smartphone, and you can have some interactivity built into it if you want. So you could manipulate it by moving it around and seeing it from all sides. Or in our one case, these kids built a beautiful pyramid in Minecraft, and we extracted that model out of Minecraft and put it into ThinkSpace AR. And when you touch the model, it opens a little hatch, and you can go into the pyramid, and you can see the chambers that the kids had beautifully crafted inside the pyramid, and the inevitable block of TNT that makes up so many Minecraft experiments. So putting that on display for me was about, it was kind of a guerrilla exhibition, to be honest. Like, it was a zero budget exhibition. We used some leftover particle board, and the guys in the workshop made me some boxes, and I was able to connect my machine to the large format color printer, and then we were able to laminate the things and stick them on the boxes. So it was very modest, let's say modest. Some might use other adjectives, but what it did mean was that we were exhibiting the work of young people. And I believe that young people have a high degree of mastery and expertise in Minecraft. So we were exhibiting the work of experts, but they were not recognized experts. They were just kids, 9, 10-year-old kids. And when we put their work on display, I think that's kind of going, what you're doing is worth other people seeing. Just like other, the Bolton and Watt steam engine is like, that's worth people seeing. But your pyramid that you built in Minecraft, that's worth people seeing. So I think that's an important statement of validation for young people. And then the other part about it was, when people got it, when they used the app and they saw the object on their phone, they got quite playful with the technology. So, for example, again with the pyramid, we had this beautiful picture of this family, a father and two daughters, primary school age girls, and they were doing this fantastic Egyptian dancing poses and stuff in the museum with an imagined object that only appeared on the phone, right? So, and the other one, there was a dog in a kennel that had been done in Minecraft, and they were doing really cute dog impressions and stuff. So from a distance, with no context, you think that's quite strange behaviour. And I really loved the kind of playfulness of that.
And as a medium, I mean, I think that part of this thing about understanding audience needs is one thing, but what you're just describing is there's a lot that you can't predict, isn't there? There has to be space in what you're doing to allow people to inhabit it. You can't say, I know exactly what the audience needs and I'm going to give it to them and it's going to be for this target group, for this age spectrum, etc., etc.
Yeah, so this came about through just a sort of a bizarre confluence of factors, where somebody came into my team who had app making skills, who was brought into the team for a specific project, and what we ended up doing was totally unrelated to that, but the kind of thing you can sometimes do around the edges of your actual work. And also, it came also from, I suppose, a deep sort of desire to make a connection between what was happening inside our ThinkSpace labs, where people were paying for workshop experiences, and what was happening on the floor of the museum. And it was only because there was an empty gallery, and through a particular set of circumstances, there wasn't the resource to do anything with that gallery space, and because we were changing executive over and all this kind of stuff, nobody was particularly paying attention. So we were able to just do it, basically. And like I said, it was very minimal cost, other than some of our time. And yeah, there isn't things. That exhibition didn't meet the standard in terms of how a state-level institution wants to present things. But it did open up a space for a quality of experience that I think met or exceeded the standard on occasions. But it was very much a kind of a guerrilla-style experiment,
So do you think that museums need, if they're thinking about their audience, that they need to rethink their exhibitions and the spaces for their exhibitions?
Well, once again, Nina would say, co-create or find the opportunities for the visitors to not just interact, but also to help you conceive of and stage the exhibition. And I don't think that mainstream museums are really, I don't think I'm getting far enough into that. I don't think we're really prioritising that type of practice. But I believe that that's a key to making museums as popular as they could and should be. And I think if you're going to do that, and you're not going to, there's got to be some kind of spontaneity and freshness to what you're doing. So you are going to have to be prepared for there to be then a mixture of presentation standards and experiences as a result. And I'm not quite sure that there's not really policy or a shared understanding about how that could happen yet. I don't think. Maybe there are examples of it in some places, but I haven't seen a lot.
So I mean, the other thing I guess is that we're kind of a lot of the time we're focused on audiences that have been made up in people's minds. They're groups that people have decided. It might be a family, it might be by marketing, it could be sort of socioeconomic. There's a whole lot of things there, but it does seem like technology is creating different kinds of groupings of people, and that you can't rely on sort of expecting this kind of audience, and that makes it difficult, doesn't it, for museums?
Well, I just think you can't pretend that build it and they will come works. I think if you're not getting buy-in at the point of, like, we could go this way or this way, which way do you think? If you're not getting buy-in early on, if you're not getting your kind of key stakeholders to the conversation early on, and then actually demonstrating that you're not only listening, you're changing as a result of their input, you're missing out on a real opportunity to kind of generate that kind of support and levels of participation that I think we want but aren't currently getting. I think there's a guy, James Paul G. He's a professor of linguistics at Arizona State University, and he's written a lot about computer gaming. And he talks about the passionate affinity space. I love that sort of phrase, the passionate affinity space, and he talks about that as he talks about SimCity actually, but it would be equally true for Minecraft, or he also writes about World of Warcraft. So the idea that we're attracted to the idea of this particular platform, and we're able to come into that platform with a little bit of knowledge or no knowledge or quite a lot of knowledge and do our thing. And then as we interact in that passionate affinity space, even though I only know a little bit, I might find myself helping somebody who knows less than me. Or if I know quite a lot, I might find myself learning something from someone who knows, well, perhaps more or perhaps less than me, but knows something I don't know. So he talks about that the online gaming community as having a lot of the qualities of a really good learning space. And I think also because in museums we're collecting around topics or themes, and so we're passionately interested in those, long-term interest in engineering or health and medicine or whatever the topic is. But are we creating that kind of space where people can come in and participate at a low level or a medium level? They could be just a browser, they could be someone who wants to come in and sit right beside us and talk to us at a really expert level, and be listened to and have the chance to impact on it. Well,
look, I'm probably going to sign us off then, but it'd be really good to revisit. I have a feeling that someone started up a grinder in the background next door. So I don't know if that's going to be a great background noise, but thanks so much, Peter. Let's try and catch up again and follow up maybe with some of the other questions.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. See ya.
Peter.